So Pilar, I want to start with you. So I put up there a little bit ago, content as a part of medicine, and now you've been Experience Life was writing about functional medicine before anyone else. What are your thoughts as content as playing a role in the future of medicine?
Well, I think I was so thrilled to see it. I was waiting for it to come, and it gave me a happy feeling. I want to point out, too, I've got a couple of my colleagues here, Jamie Martin and Courtney Helgo, who are editor-in-chief and health editor, respectively, at Experience Life. A lot of the reason that we started Experience Life was that I didn't feel that there was any good content coming out in the mass media really addressing the root causes of people's health issues or addressing their real-life priorities. And there is a reason for that. The entire media industry is really set up to serve advertisers and publishers, not readers. So, the things that you think you're interested in getting, resolution to your problems, help with your daily struggles, it's really not in most publishers' best interest to actually help you solve those problems. It's in their best interest to keep you having those problems and suggesting ads with products that will promise solutions to those problems. So I will say, having worked at Huffington Post, at Experience Life, and been surrounded in the media community for a long time, there is not likely to be a wave of coverage of the most progressive solutions in medicine in our country for quite some time in the mass media. I mean, recently Maria Rodale, who runs one of the bigger health and fitness media companies in this country, Rodale, took the advertising out of Prevention Magazine because she's said straight up, there is no way we can accurately cover health without taking the ads out, because the ads drive the editorial in so much of what we see. So I actually think it's really exciting. What's happening now is kind of a leapfrogging of the media industry with folks like you guys creating amazing content and going directly to consumers and saying, here's what I know, let me share this with you. That said, there's some real limitations there, which is that we still don't see as credible direct-to-consumer media for the most part. You get thrown up on Quack Watch. Somebody Googles you and says, oh no, they're completely illegitimate, don't listen to anything they say. And there really is still a need for some type of credible journalism in this space to take on these questions and share this information. I'm really interested, a lot of the work I'm excited about doing, and I'm talking with folks like Penny George and others, about how to create better streams of media that leverage the really intense work that you guys are doing, educating people, but putting it through a filter that looks and sounds like professional journalism, is fact-checked and proofread, and does all the really hard things, and puts it out in a place that folks can access it pretty easily, and then find their way through those content streams back to providers and practitioners and coaches who can help them integrate that information into their real lives. But I think some of the data, Kristi, that you shared. Those charts of GI problems that people are facing, things like psoriasis and autoimmune disorders that are $40,000 a year for the Humira that's supposed to suppress the symptoms, doesn't tell you how to root cause disease, cure it at all. But if we could start helping those people through legitimate media, like the content that helps them go, oh, this is maybe actually a problem I can do something about. My doctor told me it was incurable. They don't know the cause, but here's an article that seems pretty straightforward. Maybe I could change what I'm eating. I could get some help from a practitioner that might actually point me in the direction. I think that that's a profoundly exciting possibility. And it's not likely to happen in the commercial mass media system that we have now, because it's not set up with incentives for journalisms to do that kind of. In fact, there are blockades against it. We have a whole other conversation about the censorship that happens in the mass media for that kind of content. But
smells like fake news to me. Kristi, we've seen in the last few years that, there's this little button on the top of the IFM's website, Find a Practitioner, and the numbers have just gone from 200,000 to now over 1 million last year. Yeah. Seems to be in a certain way some of the summits and books. How many books have there been by functional medicine? The content's sort of making its way out there, and people are finding these practitioners. But I think, as Sachin said, we need a lot more, and we need them to have a scalable business model, because everyone just get filled up, and there's a 6-month waiting list doesn't help the guy with autoimmune disease.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you nailed the numbers. I mean, it's just stunning when we were watching the fourth quarter presenting last year and seeing this trajectory towards 1 million searches on the site. That would have been unheard of. We wouldn't have even guessed that possible a few years ago. So that's 1 million people were on the site this year. Unique individual searches coming in looking to find a practitioner in their area. And so, I think we also are at a tipping point where practitioners, have different levels of training, and there's certainly different ways that people can move throughout their educational lifelong learning experience. So, we've just made sure that we opened up a lot of opportunities and avenues, supporting those at the level of health coaches, those at the level of primary care, those who are looking, to connect with mentors and others in the field. I think it's amazing that, a doc on a conference call with me on a development team this week said, it takes most doctors 5 years to go through the entire training and feel really comfortable in functional medicine. He said, honestly, it takes them that many years to feel comfortable in their own business of functional medicine. So, that's just another hot topic that's growing.
Can you quickly add to that? Because I want to ask you about that. Because I know in times gone by, you had a mega practice, and now you have a micro practice.
Yeah.
What switched? What do you find being on the other side of it now?
Well, I think the biggest push for me was trying to find life balance. I absolutely.
Did you find that?
I'm working so hard on it. It's not easy yet, but. I think it's because I had kids, and all of a sudden with my kids, I realized with each kid that came along, there was one practice that I closed down, shut down, or sold off. So I had 5 practices at one point all throughout this whole area in North Dakota, and just really was getting to that point of loving this medicine so much that it actually pushed me to the verge of burnout. Right? Loving what you do so much that you become exhausted doing what you love so everybody else can get better. And I think in this field, the other challenge is, you get lit up and get excited about functional medicine, and it doesn't stay at the door when you walk out. It doesn't stay with your charts. You walk out, and everywhere you go, to every, family gathering and every potluck and every church or, faith group experience, somebody's going to corner you and say, I've been having hot flashes. So it's like it just doesn't end there, right? So I think the key for me was realizing that,
Last night at dinner, by the way.
it happens, or on the airplane. I just tell people I sell copy machines now when I sit down. I sell copy machines, and I just hope somebody doesn't sit next to me that knows anything about copy machines. But, I think part of the challenge is just that balance point, and with functional medicine, you can get to a point where it's all referral driven, right? And it's all driving people's needs. And then you got to find that touch point of how much is enough for you as a provider, that you're making the difference, but you're not exhausted when you go home and play with your kids. I think what I'm thrilled to see is in the field of functional medicine, that topic is front and center. Yeah. Physicians preventing physician burnout, med students really dealing with residents, doing self-care. We as the healthcare providers need to be front.
Absolutely, yeah. Last year at the IFM conference in the back row, do you remember they had those sitting balls that you could sit and bounce on? I was like, that's progressive because sitting's the new smoking. Sachin, I know, when people come into your mentorship program, the first thing that you have them do is do the health. Get healthy to become living proof. How much of an impact does that have to be able to really communicate that to these, the new doctors that are coming through?
Well, everything you do is an extension of yourself. So if your business is going to be successful, you have to be in life successful. And so every person that that goes through our program actually becomes patient zero. So they get to experience what it's like to actually be, because most functional medicine practitioners kind of do it on themselves. And so you're not your best, most unbiased person to treat yourself. And I hear people laughing because you've done that before. And I was guilty of that at one point. So it's important that the doctor becomes the first patient and encounters what it's like to actually be the patient and be interviewed and to get the testing done and have somebody else give them that second or even that third opinion about their health.
I love the third opinion. I think it might be the best name in functional medicine because they're going to Mayo for the second one, right? And then they're coming to you.
Well, I was going to call it the ultimate opinion, but I thought that might be arrogant.
You were trying to get away from arrogance.
Trying to get away from arrogance.
Humility.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of organizational tips, but I think the most important tip is just do it. You can get paralysis of analysis. There's all of these things that you got to do, and oh my God, what about this? And what happens if this happens? Well, if it happens, and you figure it out. And I think that's the beauty of a micro practice. I was in a big practice too. In fact, I was sort of right on the verge of getting to a functional medicine hospital out in the frozen tundra. And there were too many people with opinions, It's like, this is too hard. So I kind of broke free from that and went, first I became an employee, and then turns out I'm a terrible employee. So I started a micro practice, and then now I'm resisting more partners because you do the same thing over and over expecting a different result. It turns out that's insanity, so apparently I'm insane. But you build and you grow because there's so much demand. I live 2 hours west of here in a tiny little town, 900 people, and we have recently solved our problem of being booked out for a year. Now we're only booked out for about 6 months. If I can do this, if you live in a city, you don't have to work that hard at it. You have to be true to yourself. You have to do the things that were discussed and be real and live in compassion and be compassionate and try to foster compassion in everybody you know. And it happens because you're delivering compassionate care, and compassionate care heals. That's really what functional medicine is. Functional medicine, fundamentally, storytelling is the original healing device, right? It's the original thing that we could do for each other, was listen and retell. And that's the basis of functional medicine. All the rest of it is details. All the rest of it is, she's going to use andrographis and I'm going to use, ampicillin or something. Those are details. They aren't that important. But we get so caught up in the details. The real goal here is live in compassion and inspire compassion, and people get better.
Beautiful. Yeah, look, it's. I think everyone who's played a role or is in part of this community can echo that. And just think back to an event we did last year with Charles Eisenstein, where he really helped our community to see that there's more to functional medicine succeeding than just functional medicine succeeding. The net result of thousands of practitioners delivering compassionate care will be an impact on society, and a society that, whoever you voted for in November and however you feel about it is in dire needs of it. Kristi, you were just in England with all these practitioners at the AFMCP from all over the world. I mean, this is not just an American problem, and it's a really amazing American solution. Pilar, just one question I want to come to. So if you had that $250 million and now you're a media planner, where do you see media coming around to this kind of conversation? Because I saw just on the New York Times today, they're telling to back off chiropractors. Chiropractors are actually pretty useful. That was today in the New York Times. Didn't have time to put it on. And we should all apologize for being mean for the last 50 years. Where do you feel that, where do you feel that there's the green shoots in content covering the movement that you like?
Well, I do think that there's a lot of promise in smaller scale media companies producing better and better content. I think because it has become more democratized in general, the media industry understands that some of the most creative and fun and popular media is coming out of, not like mega TV stations, but people making YouTube videos and things like that. And I do think that there's a lot of promise there. I don't know that if you wrote me a $250 million check, I would know exactly how to spend it in this moment. But I would think the first thing I would do is find genuinely passionate people who want to tell these stories and want to do the research and want to deliver customer audience-driven content, as opposed to, creating a gigantic machine that's designed to attract more eyeballs so that they can sell more ads and then find sponsors to help make them the next $250 million. I think if we spent $250 million actually educating people on how to get healthy and connecting them with each other in ways that support them in becoming healthy, and address the real obstacles in our culture of becoming a healthy person in the midst of 97.5% of people not practicing basic healthy habits, that would be where I would start. So I think it's the way we're all spending our time and money now, probably a lot of the people in this room. But I think, people who are benefactors of that kind of work, including people like Penny, who have been amazing advocates for taking a shot on really hardworking, passionate individuals who want to change the world. We need more people doing that. And I mean, as sad as it is to see, I think, primary care doctors leaving the existing system, there's always some small part of me that says, you know what? Good. The system isn't going to succeed the way it's going. So it's better to see people coming out while they still have a shred of passion and hope and compassion in them and deciding to blend themselves together with other people who want to do that work.
Beautiful. And it's not by accident that we have a naturopathic doctor, physician, journalist, and chiropractor here because, we see that if you were to add up all the functional MDs, the naturopaths, and the chiropractors together, we're getting close to that 100,000 micro practices. That's really the goal of the evolution of medicine. And it's really exciting to see that there have been, fairly sad failures in institutionalized integrative and functional medicine in the last year. But what is happening and what I can report on is that the functional medicine micro practice thing, it's happening. And it's happening fast, and it's really exciting to see practitioners coming together and building these low overhead systems and going directly for patients. Because as Jeff Glad said 2 months ago, at the forum in March, there's a whole swathe of people with these high deductible health plans that don't really know what to do with them, and we can add a lot of value to those people as well. So I just want to share my appreciation for all of you coming, in some cases a long way, to be here. Pilar, thanks for helping us find this beautiful place. Sachin, coming from a completely other country to be here. It's been an absolute pleasure to do the Functional Forum. This is the 40th episode of the Functional Forum.